live from New York on Veterans Day, Monday night, November 11th, 2013. We are here live.
Felix, do you realize that the reason for Armistice Day, the actual time, 11/11/11, okay, it was 11 for the month of November, 11 for the day, and at 11 o'clock in the morning, the armistice was signed.
That's pretty interesting. Anyway, live from New York. It's Trucking to Heaven with your host, Felix, and your co-host,
Dr. Marc.
And we are here and proud to be broadcasting on this day, this holiday.
Honoring our veterans of all foreign wars.
And we don't have any tape music, but Mark is going to do a rendition.
Oh, please.
We'll do them together. Mark will do a rendition.
Yeah, you're going to hum, right?
Come on, let's go, Mark.
Let me see. Over a hill, over a dale, we was hit the dusty trail as the army goes rolling along. Okay, enough of the army. Battles on land and air and sea. The Air Force.
Okay.
Oh, heck.
I forgot it.
Well, I know I don't know the Coast Guard, so I apologize for that, but the Air Force is on the tip of my tongue.
You know what?
Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sky. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder, whatever. Anyway, that's our tribute. That's our salute to our veterans. I certainly hope nobody was eating when we started singing, because I think you're going to probably get real sick now. But it is Veterans Day. You can't pick and choose which veterans you want to honor. Everybody, it seems, honors the veterans from World Wars I and II. Okay. Vietnam, it's only recently that the veterans are being recognized simply because they answered the call of the country. They were drafted or they volunteered. I don't think too many people really supported. No, there were people who volunteered. Yeah. But the bottom line is, I mean, there were, we were fed a bill of goods, the domino effect that if Vietnam falls, other Southeast Asian countries are going to fall. There was a time when we were very gullible and we believed that. Then came...
well, you missed North Korea.
No, I didn't. I didn't come to North Korea. No,
Korean War was first, wasn't it?
Right. Korean War. I stand corrected. And it just goes to show the Korean War is also known as the Forgotten War, because it's also only recently that homage is being paid to the veterans of the Korean conflict and the Korean War.
The Korean War is known best for MASH, probably.
Yeah. Very true.
Because it was not called a war. It was called a police action.
Well, conflict. The Vietnam... Oh, Korea? Yes, it was a police action. Exactly.
Action, yeah. Whatever that means.
A war is a war, ladies and gentlemen. You're going overseas to fight. People get killed. It's a war.
And then there was, obviously...
then we had the Bush Wars.
Iraq.
Well, the Bush Wars.
Yeah.
We had Desert Storm, Iraqi Freedom, you name it. had met, well, let's go back to World War One. If you were traveling through Europe and you were sharing a beer and pretzels and you were talking, and then you come home to the United States, you put on the uniform of America, he puts on the German uniform. You know, it's the uniform and the ideology that makes someone an enemy. In truth, we don't know who we're really fighting and killing. I mean, they are people just like us. They have families just like us. You know, it's just a shame that governments can do this to people where, you know, you go off to war because your government says, well, this is what you have to do.
It's true. You know, the soldiers are just the pawns, you know. They just follow orders. And,
you know, funny, you see, talk about the following orders. Read something very interesting. The government calls on you to, well, actually, you volunteer to go to Iraq and Afghanistan. And the government doesn't even supply you with the equipment that you really need. I remember Rumsfeld saying you go to war with the army that you have and not the army you would like to have, because literally back at the beginning of the Iraqi war, the army was putting things together with duct tape. Okay, that's how poor and how bad it was. But then when the soldiers come back and they need facilities, veteran facilities, they have PTSD or they're wounded, what does government do? Congress cuts the amount of money that they give veterans hospitals and veteran affairs, and that's slapping you in the face. It's okay for you to go and fight for your country, but when you come back, sorry, buddy, you're on your own.
it's true. You know, Mark and I, we're sort of veterans, but non-combatant veterans. We both served in the National Guards in the 70s during the Vietnam War, and that was our way of protesting the Vietnam War by joining the Guards and not serving in a war.
Well, you know, Felix, when I went down to Fort Jackson, where you were, they wanted me to go regular Army because I did well on the tests. They said, hey, you're officer material. And I said to them, you still sending people overseas? And the guy said, yes. I said, well, I'll do my 6 months. That's enough. You know.
Yeah, well, were you a college grad already? No.
Yes, I was.
Oh, that's sure, definitely then, yeah, because officers normally are college grads unless they get a field promotion.
Those things are very few and far between now. They were popular during World War II in Korea, I believe, but I don't know about Vietnam.
I don't know, but field promotions, I have no idea.
But
well,
speaking,
actually, yes, there was a lieutenant in the National Guards that got done with his duty in Vietnam, and he was field promoted to a lieutenant.
That's because he was going from regular Army to a National Guard unit.
No,
like the reserves.
No, he was field promoted while he was in Vietnam. I believe. My memory's not that good, but I believe.
Speaking about government, though, ladies and gentlemen, I saw something very interesting on the news today. President Obama has already earmarked $20 million to go to the Philippines for humanitarian aid. And while I applaud that as a humanitarian thing to do and the right thing to do, ask yourself this question. If you live in Rockaway, if you live in Staten Island, if you live in Long Beach, or any other part of the Island Park, the tri-state area that was affected by Hurricane Sandy, how many hoops did you have to jump through before Uncle Sam gave you anything? You know, I saw transport planes being loaded with necessities, okay, to be given out to the people, and all I have to do is wait online and show up. You know, when Sandy hit, the only people driving by who offered us anything were people from the neighborhood.
The churches were offering hot meals. The synagogues were offering...
the schools.
Schools.
You know, but we had regular homemakers, regular women and men driving by in their car, and by the grace of God, they were not affected by this. And they said, if you need anything, let us know. Do you need food? If we don't have it, we'll make a note of it and we'll bring it back to you. I didn't see, FEMA, you had to come down and fill out tons of paperwork, okay? You didn't know what you were going to get back, and then you were happy to get any kind of a check in the mail at all, okay? And if you had flood insurance or any other kind of insurance, the government said, well, before we give you money, you have to settle with this insurance company or settle with that insurance company, And
if you're a renter, forget about it. You don't get anything.
And, I just find it it angers me that we're so quick to help other countries. And I'm not saying it's wrong. Believe me, I'm not. But, my parents always told me charity begins at home. You take care of your own first. I don't see and I just didn't see the government doing that. I mean, even now, there are still areas that are still, people have not rebuilt. And they don't know if they are because they're still waiting for the government to settle their claims.
Absolutely. And
I just had to get it off my chest. That's all. I apologize for the ranting.
I'm sorry. We are expecting a call shortly from Dr. Don Monaco. He's actually one of our listeners, but he wanted to discuss his theories on JFK.
That's right. Even though we have a couple of weeks, we will be having a show on it within a couple of weeks. So for those of you that have questions of your own, you may want to do a little research, get it down on paper. Felix and I will do a little, and maybe we can discuss how we all feel. Remember, this is our show about nothing. Okay, I like to say that because it reminds me of Seinfeld. He made an 8 or 9 year career discussing a show about nothing. That's because the show is basically what you want to talk about. And Dr. Don wants to talk about JFK's assassination, and that's fine. A little blurb we put down, we wanted to discuss a little bit of stop and frisk. I know that's important to all of us here in New York. I spoke to my daughter in Ohio, and she said she hadn't heard anything about it because I do believe that it's just something here in the tri-state area that's making a big brouhaha. And
in other areas, it's probably being done, but
they call it something else.
Yeah, it's the problem here is it's the racial equations of the stop and frisk. And unfortunately, the crime is where the stop and frisk is. And by the way, it's really supposed to be stop, question, and frisk. I mean, the cops just don't stop you and
start searching you.
They question you, and if they find that you're acting suspiciously, or they're smelling something, or they see something that looks wrong, or you're just acting suspiciously. The Long Island Railroad, if nobody recognizes that. It just continues coming. Nothing stops the railroad.
That's how